Sometimes a hyperbola will not always be in standard form where the center point is easy to find. Instead, it'll be in this general form that has x squareds, y squareds, x's and y's, and a constant on one side, or all the variable terms on one side and the constant on the other. So we're going to go through the steps required to convert the equation of a hyperbola from this general form to standard form, again to make it easier to find the center point and to graph. So let's get started. The first step is to move any constant that you have to the other side of the equation. So we'll still have our 2y squared plus our 8y minus 3x squared minus 18x, but then that will be equal to 25. The next step is to group our common terms together. So our 2y squared plus 8y and the negative 3x squared and negative 18x together, and pull out a common factor from each of these two binomials that we now have grouped. So from the 2y squared plus 8y, we can factor out a 2, and when we do so, we will be left with y squared plus 4y. In the terms containing x variables, we can factor out a negative 3, because negative 3 and negative 18 are both multiples of negative 3. So when we pull the negative 3 out, we'll be left with x squared plus 6x for our two terms. And this is still equal to 25. The next step with finding the center point is to complete the square. So we still have our 2 here. We have our y squared plus 4y, but then we need plus a blank to fill in. We have minus 3, still have our x squared plus our 6x plus a blank to complete the square there, and then that's going to be equal to still 25, but we are going to add 2 blank spaces here that we are going to add or put extra constants in order to finish the problem. Because remember, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. So now let's examine what we have here. We have y squared plus 4y plus some constant c. And I'm going to rewrite my 4 to make sure it looks more legible. There we go. So we take our b term, our positive 4, we divide it by 2, which is 2, and then we square it, which is 4. So we're adding 4 here. In reality, we're adding 4 times 2, or 8, to this side of the equation. So we also have to add 4 times 2, or 8, to the other side of the equation. And now let's look at our second set of variable terms with the x's. So we have plus 6x as our middle b term. We're going to divide that 6 by 2, and we're going to square it, and that's going to be 9. And remember, we're adding not just 9, we're adding 9 times negative 3 to the left side, so we have to do the same to the right side. Notice how I'm showing 9 times negative 3. And now we can simplify these, because these are now perfect square trinomials. So we're going to have 2 times, before we rewrite it as perfect squares, we can then simplify 4 times 2, which is 8, and 9 times negative 3, which is negative 27. So instead of plus negative 27, you could write minus 27. And now we can write these as our perfect squares. So we're going to have 2 times y plus 2 squared minus 3 times x plus 3 squared. And when we add up 25 and 8, we get 33, and 33 minus 27 is 6. And the last step is to divide all of our terms here by our constant that's all by itself on the right-hand side. So we're going to divide by 6, divide by 6, divide by 6, and we're going to simplify. So we're going to have just y plus 2 squared over 3 minus x plus 3 squared over 2 is equal to 1. And that is the final standard form of our hyperbola, or the final equation of our hyperbola in standard form.